When three sisters welcomed their charming new stepbrother into their home, no one imagined it would lead to lies, obsession, and bloodshed. A perfect new beginning. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, life seemed peaceful. The Grant sisters, Olivia, Mia, and Sophie, lived with their widowed mother, Clara Grant, in a cozy two-story home at the end of Ashwood Street. They were known in the neighborhood for their closeness. Three girls who did everything together. But everything changed when Clara announced she was remarrying. Her fiancé, David Carter, was a kind but mysterious man who had a teenage son, Ethan. When Ethan moved in, the house that once felt familiar began to feel different. He was quiet, polite, and had a charm that drew people in. The sisters were curious about him, each forming their own impression. Olivia, the eldest at 23, was practical and reserved. Mia, 21, was outgoing and talkative. Sophie, only 18, was shy and observant. At first, everything seemed fine. Ethan helped Clara in the garden, fixed the squeaky doors, and even helped Mia study for her exams. He seemed like the perfect new brother, but Olivia couldn't shake a strange feeling. She noticed how Ethan's eyes lingered on them, how he sometimes appeared in places he shouldn't be. One night, she woke up to find him standing in the hallway outside their rooms. When she asked what he was doing, he simply said, "Just checking if everyone's okay." A week later, things grew more unsettling. The sisters began receiving anonymous text messages. "You look beautiful in blue," one said. "I saw you last night," said another. They brushed it off as a prank. But then, strange events started to happen. Mia's window left open at night. Sophie's diary moved from her drawer. Olivia's necklace missing, then found under Ethan's bed. One night, Clara hosted a small family dinner to celebrate her new marriage. Everyone sat around the table, laughing and toasting to the future. But Olivia noticed Ethan wasn't eating. He was watching. Watching all of them. After dinner, Ethan offered to walk Sophie to her room. She refused, uneasy. Later that night, Olivia heard whispers in the hallway again. When she peeked through her door, she saw Ethan talking softly through Sophie's door, his tone gentle but firm, like he was trying to convince her of something. The next morning, Ethan was gone. No one saw him leave, but his room was empty. Clara panicked, calling his father, who said he hadn't heard from his son either. 3 days later, a note was slipped under their door. It read, "You shouldn't have told. Now it begins." The police were called, but there was no trace of Ethan. Just as things seemed to calm down, tragedy struck. Clara was found dead in her car, the engine running in the closed garage. The police called it suicide, but Olivia didn't believe it. And when she checked Clara's phone, she found a message from Ethan, sent just hours before her death. "You promised to keep quiet. You broke your word." From that moment on, the sisters realized they were being watched, and that Ethan had never really left. The strange bond. The days following Clara's death were heavy with grief and confusion. The police ruled it a tragic accident, saying she must have fallen asleep in the car with the engine running. But Olivia refused to believe that. Her mother was cautious. She never even started the car without opening the garage door first. Mia tried to stay strong, comforting her sisters, while Sophie withdrew into herself. She spent hours sitting by the window, staring down Ashwood Street as if waiting for something. Or someone. Then, one evening, Sophie quietly said something that made Olivia's blood run cold. "He's back," she whispered. Olivia froze. "Who?" "Ethan," Sophie said, still looking out of the window. "He was standing near the streetlight last night, watching the house." Olivia rushed outside, but there was no one there. Only a few muddy footprints near the gate, fresh ones leading towards the woods behind their home. That night, all three sisters slept in the same room, doors locked, lights on. But sleep didn't come easily. At 2 a.m., the sound of soft tapping echoed from the window. 3 gentle knocks, then silence. By morning, the footprints were gone. But under the front porch, Olivia found something that turned fear into certainty. A small metal keychain with the initials EC engraved on it. Mia wanted to call the police, but Olivia stopped her. "We don't have proof," she said. "If he's really back, we'll find out what he wants." That afternoon, Olivia drove to Ethan's old school in town. The principal told her that Ethan had dropped out months before his father met Clara. "Quiet boy," the principal said. But troubled, he got into fights, spent time alone, obsessed with control. Olivia's heart sank. She asked about Ethan's mother, hoping to understand him better. The principal hesitated. "His mother?" he said quietly. "She died, drowned in a lake near their old home. They said it was an accident, but..." He trailed off. That night, the sisters sat together, the unease between them growing thicker. Mia insisted Ethan wouldn't hurt them. "He's just lost," she said softly. "He loved Mom. Maybe he's grieving too." Olivia glared at her. "You think he's sending threats because he's grieving?" "He killed her, Mia." "I know he did." Sophie stayed silent, her eyes dark. "He's not angry," she said finally. "He just wants us to remember him." The next day, Olivia noticed Sophie sneaking out of the house. She followed her at a distance, down Ashwood Street, through the woods, to an old abandoned shed behind the Carter family's old property. Inside, Sophie sat across from Ethan. He looked pale, thinner, his eyes intense but calm. "I had to see you," he said. "You're the only one who understands." Sophie's voice trembled. "You shouldn't be here." They think I killed her," Ethan interrupted. "I didn't. But your sister is trying to turn you against me." "You know how she looks at me, like I'm some monster. I just wanted a family. But your mother..." He stopped, biting his lip. "What about Mom?" Sophie asked. Ethan's tone darkened. "She was going to send me away. Said I wasn't welcome anymore. Said I was dangerous." He stood up, pacing. "I didn't kill her, Sophie. But I can't let them ruin what we had. You, me, Mia, Olivia, we were supposed to be a family." Sophie started to cry. "You need to go to the police. Tell them the truth." Ethan stepped closer, his voice almost tender. "The truth, Sophie? They'd never believe me. You will, though. You always do." That night, Sophie didn't speak a word. Olivia noticed mud on her shoes and demanded to know where she'd been. But Sophie just shook her head and went to her room. The next morning, the girls woke to find their front door slightly open. On the floor lay a single Polaroid photo, Clara's car in the garage, the same way she had died. Written in black ink across the top, "You made her choose." Olivia's fear turned to rage. She called Detective Laura Hayes, the lead investigator on their mother's case, and begged her to reopen it. The detective listened carefully, promising to look deeper. Meanwhile, Mia began receiving calls from an unknown number. When she finally answered, Ethan's voice came through the line, soft, almost soothing. "Mia, I just want to talk. I miss all of you. Don't listen to Olivia. She's twisting everything." Mia hung up, shaking. But something in Ethan's voice stayed with her. He didn't sound angry. He sounded heartbroken. Later that evening, Mia found a small envelope slipped under the door. Inside was a drawing, a sketch of the 3 sisters together, with Ethan standing behind them. In the corner it read, "We belong together." That was the moment Olivia realized Ethan wasn't just hiding. He was close, watching them, studying every move. And when the power went out that night, plunging the house into darkness, the sisters heard a sound from the hallway, a single creak of a floorboard. Then a whisper, "Don't be afraid. It's just me." Jealousy and betrayal. Detective Laura Hayes had seen plenty of grief-stricken families, but something about the Grand-sisters felt different. When she visited the house after Clara's funeral, the tension was thick enough to cut. Olivia avoided eye contact, Sophie looked pale and distracted, and Mia kept glancing toward the window, as if someone might be standing outside. Laura noticed small things. A half-burned candle by the door. The curtains always drawn? The locks recently changed. You girls aren't safe here alone, she warned. If you see anything unusual, call me. Don't try to handle it yourselves. Olivia nodded. But she already knew the truth. The danger wasn't outside. It was somewhere much closer. Whispers in the house. Over the next few days, strange things started happening again. Footsteps in the attic. The sound of a door creaking open when everyone was downstairs. Items moved from one room to another. Olivia tried to stay rational. Maybe it's the wind. Maybe we're just scared. But Sophie's drawings began to change. Once filled with flowers and faces, now covered in dark shapes and scribbled words. He's waiting. Mia found Sophie in the kitchen one night, whispering to herself. He said he forgave us, Sophie murmured. When Olivia demanded to know who, Sophie's eyes welled with tears. Ethan, he talks to me at night. Olivia grabbed her shoulders. Sophie, listen to me. Ethan is dangerous. You can't believe anything he says. Sophie shook her head. You don't understand. He said you're lying. That you're the reason Mom died. Those words hit Olivia like a slap. She stepped back, stunned. What did you just say? But Sophie didn't answer. She just walked away, leaving Olivia staring after her. Fear slowly turning into anger. The message 2 days later, a new message appeared on the family laptop. The screen flickered, then a video file opened by itself. It showed footage from inside their house. Grainy, black and white clips from what looked like hidden cameras. Someone had been watching them for weeks. The video ended with Ethan's face filling the screen. You think I'm the monster, he said calmly. But you never looked at what's inside your own family. Then the screen went black. Mia screamed. Olivia yanked the power cord out of the wall and called Detective Hayes immediately. When the detective arrived, she searched the entire house but found nothing. No cameras, no wires, nothing. It was as if the footage had been planted just to terrorize them. Still, Laura promised to trace the video's origin. If he's alive and nearby, she said, we'll find him. But that night, Ethan struck again, not with violence, but with manipulation. Turning them against each other, Mia received another envelope under her door. Inside was a torn photograph of the three sisters as children. Only now, Olivia's face had been scratched out. On the back, written in red ink, were the words, "She's hiding the truth." Mia's faith in her sister began to crumble. She confronted Olivia in the living room. "You keep saying you're protecting us," she shouted, "but all you do is make things worse. What if you're the reason he's angry?" Olivia tried to stay calm. "You don't understand. No, you don't!" Mia snapped. "You hated him from the moment he moved in. Maybe you pushed him away. Maybe that's why Mom was upset." The argument spiraled, ending with Mia storming out of the house into the cold night. Olivia begged her to stay, but the front door slammed behind her. Sophie sat on the stairs, watching silently. "He said it would happen," she whispered. The forest hours passed with no sign of Mia. At dawn, Olivia called the police. Detective Hayes organized a search team. They found Mia's car, parked by the edge of the forest, near the old Carter property. Doors unlocked. Keys still in the ignition. Inside the woods, they discovered a trail of footprints leading to the abandoned shed, where Sophie had met Ethan days earlier. The door creaked open slowly, revealing Mia lying unconscious on the floor, tied at the wrists. She was alive, barely, and there was a note pinned to her jacket. "One left to save." "One left to lose!" Olivia collapsed beside her sister, sobbing. The note's handwriting was unmistakable. Ethan was still playing his game, and Sophie might already be caught in it. The betrayal. That evening, while Mia recovered at the hospital, Olivia searched Sophie's room for clues. In her sketchbook, she found something horrifying. Drawings of Ethan standing beside their mother, smiling. In one, Clara's car was drawn in the garage, exhaust filling the air, Ethan's hand resting on her shoulder, and beneath it, scrawled in ink, "She deserved peace." Olivia felt sick. When she confronted Sophie, her little sister didn't even deny it. "He said Mom wanted it that way," Sophie said, her voice hollow.
"He said he helped her go to sleep." Olivia's heart broke.
"Sophie, he killed her! Can't you see he's controlling you?"
Tears filled Sophie's eyes.
"He said you'd say that." Before Olivia could reply, glass shattered downstairs, the back window.
Someone was inside the house. Olivia grabbed Sophie's hand and ran to the front door, but Sophie pulled away.
"He's not here to hurt us," she whispered.
"He's here to finish it." From the darkness of the hallway,
a voice answered softly, "She's right." The night of blood detective Laura Hayes arrived at the Grant house minutes after Olivia's panicked call. Rain hammered the roof, lightning flashing through the windows. The front door hung half open, and the air inside smelled of smoke and rainwater. "Olivia!"
Laura shouted, stepping inside with her flashlight.
No answer, only the sound of floorboards creaking above. She moved through the living room, passing family photos scattered across the floor. One frame had been smashed, the picture of Clara and her daughters. Someone had ripped Ethan's face out of a group shot that had once included him. Upstairs, Olivia crouched in the hallway, trembling.
"He's here," she whispered.
"He broke in through the back window." Laura kept her weapon low but ready. "Where's Sophie?" Olivia pointed toward the attic stairs. "She went up there. Said she had to talk to him." The attic, the two women climbed slowly.
The door at the top was half open, a faint glow leaking through the crack. Inside, they found Sophie kneeling in the middle of the floor,
surrounded by sketches pinned to the walls, portraits of Ethan, dozens of them, drawn over and over again. "He wanted me to remember him," Sophie murmured. "He said tonight everything would be clear." Laura scanned the room.
"Where is he, Sophie?" Before Sophie could answer, a sound came from the other side of the attic, a low creak, like someone shifting their weight. Laura swung the flashlight around, but the beam caught only empty shadows and boxes. Then, from the darkness, "Detective Hayes, you shouldn't have come." It was Ethan's voice, the confession Laura kept the light steady.
"Ethan, step out where I can see you." A figure emerged slowly from behind a beam, thin, soaked from the rain, eyes dark and hollow.
"You think I'm a killer," he said quietly.
"But I only did what she asked." Olivia shook her head. "You killed Mom!" Ethan looked almost calm. "Clara was sick. She wanted it to end peacefully. She made me promise."
"Then you found out, Olivia. You told her she was a bad mother."
"She couldn't live with that." Laura's voice was firm.
"You're lying." Ethan smiled faintly.
"Maybe, but the truth doesn't change what's coming." He reached into his coat.
Laura raised her gun, but instead of a weapon, Ethan pulled out a small envelope and tossed it toward Olivia.
"For you," he said.
"You deserve to know." Before anyone could react, he turned, bolted towards the attic window, and disappeared into the storm outside. Aftermath of the escape. The police searched the property until dawn, but Ethan was gone.
Only muddy footprints and the sound of sirens remained. At the station, Laura examined the envelope. Inside was a single note in Clara's handwriting. "If anything happens to me, please forgive him." "He believes he's saving me!" The words shook Olivia to her core. Could it be true? Had her mother asked Ethan to help her die? Or had he forged the letter to twist the truth even further? Meanwhile, Sophie was taken for psychological evaluation.
She kept repeating the same sentence. "He promised we'd all be together soon." Mia, still recovering in the hospital, refused to speak.
The sisters who had once been inseparable were now broken fragments of a story no one fully understood. Detective Hayes' breakthrough. A week later,
Laura received a forensic report on the video that had been sent earlier, the one showing hidden camera footage from inside the house.
The IP address traced back to an abandoned storage unit just outside town, rented under David Carter's name. Ethan's father, Laura, and her team raided the unit. Inside, they found a small workspace with computer equipment, old photographs, and a wall covered in documents about the Grant family. But the most chilling discovery was a calendar pinned to the wall. Every date on it was marked with a name: Clara, Olivia, Mia, Sophie. And next to Sophie's name, today's date was circled in red. Race against time Laura sped toward the Grant house with sirens blaring. She called Olivia, warning her not to go anywhere near the attic. Lock the doors, stay together. He's coming back for Sophie. But when she arrived, the house was silent.
The front door was unlocked. A faint hum came from upstairs, music playing from Sophie's room.
Laura entered cautiously, her flashlight sweeping the walls. Sophie sat on her bed, motionless, staring at a small recorder on her nightstand.
Ethan's voice echoed softly from it. "You can't fix what's broken, Sophie."
"But you can join the ones who loved you most." Laura lunged forward and shut it off. "He's manipulating you," she said gently. "He wants you to believe his lies." Sophie turned, tears streaking her face. "He said he'd come back for me." And in that moment, Olivia appeared in the doorway, pale, holding a phone.
"He just sent a message," she whispered.
"A picture of the lake."
"He's waiting there." The final confrontation police units surrounded the lake within minutes. The fog was thick, moonlight rippling across the water.
On the shore, a lone figure stood, Ethan, drenched and still. When Laura called out his name, he didn't run. He looked at her, then at Olivia and Sophie, who had followed against orders. "I never meant to hurt them," he said softly. "I just wanted to keep the family together." She promised me peace. Olivia stepped forward. "It's over, Ethan. Mom's gone. You need to stop." Ethan stared at her for a long moment. Then he said almost tenderly, "It was never about stopping. It was about ending." He turned and walked into the fog. By the time officers reached the edge of the lake, he had vanished beneath the mist. The shocking truth revealed weeks passed after the night at the lake. Ethan Carter's body was never recovered.
Search teams dragged the water for days, but found only his jacket. Empty pockets, no ID. Officially, the case was marked presumed dead. Unofficially, Detective Laura Hayes never believed it. Inside the Grant house, silence replaced sirens.
Olivia and Mia barely spoke. Sophie remained in psychiatric care, drifting in and out of reality. The once lively family home felt like a museum of grief. Then one cold morning, an envelope arrived at the precinct. No return address, only a single name scrawled across it. For Detective Hayes. Inside was a flash drive, the hidden recording. The drive contained audio, crackly, but clear enough to recognize the voices. First, Clara Grant's soft tone. "You promised, Ethan. You said you'd protect them if anything happened to me." Then Ethan's reply, trembling. "I will. But they have to understand why you did it." Another voice joined in, faint, uncertain. Mia's Laura froze. She replayed it 3 times. There was no mistake. The date stamp placed the recording 2 nights before Clara's death. If Mia had been there that night, she hadn't told anyone. Confronting the past, Laura visited the hospital where Mia was recovering. At first, Mia refused to talk. Her hands shook as she twisted the edge of her blanket. "I didn't want anyone to know," she whispered. Mom was falling apart after she married David. She said Ethan understood her better than anyone. They talked constantly. About how empty she felt, Laura leaned forward gently. "So you were there the night she died?" Mia nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. She told Ethan she wanted to end it. "I begged her not to." He said he could help her find peace. He poured something into her drink, said it would help her sleep. She started getting dizzy, then told him to stop, that she changed her mind. But it was too late. Mia covered her face. "I ran. I couldn't stop it. Laura's stomach twisted. Ethan hadn't been the only witness. Mia had carried the truth all along, buried under guilt. Olivia learns the truth. When Laura told Olivia, her first reaction was disbelief. No, she wouldn't have hidden that from me. But the detective played the recording. The sound of their mother's fading voice filled the room. Olivia's expression broke. She tried to stop him, she whispered. And he finished it anyway. Laura nodded. He manipulated all of you.
Used your mother's pain to justify what he did.
Then used guilt to control Sophie and fear to divide you. Olivia sat quietly for a long moment before saying, "So it's over?" Laura hesitated. "Maybe, but I don't think Ethan's gone." The final discovery a month later. Construction workers clearing debris from an abandoned cabin near the lake found a locked metal box buried under the floorboards.
Inside were photographs, letters, and a torn page from Clara's journal. The entry read, "He scares me."
His eyes don't blink when he talks. I thought marrying David would help Ethan feel loved, but something's wrong.
He watches the girls too closely.
I'm afraid of what will happen when I tell him he has to leave. The last line was smeared with ink, as though written in haste. If he can't have us as a family,
he'll destroy us as one. Laura realized what Clara had been trying to do. She'd planned to end the marriage and protect her daughters.
Ethan had discovered the journal and turned her fears into prophecy. Echoes in the water. The Grants sold the house and moved away from Willow Creek. Sophie remained under treatment. Mia enrolled in counseling.
Olivia started working with Laura as a volunteer for missing persons cases.
But none of them truly escaped the shadow of Ethan Carter. One evening, nearly a year later, Olivia walked along the edge of Willow Lake. The fog was thick again, just like that night. She stopped when she saw something half buried in the mud. A small metal keychain engraved with the initials EC. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. A text appeared. "Family should stay together." The message deleted itself seconds later. Olivia stared across the water, the reflection of streetlights rippling like restless eyes.
Somewhere in the distance, a branch cracked. Soft, deliberate.
She turned, but the shoreline was empty. Still, she could have sworn she heard a whisper on the wind. "Don't be afraid. It's just me." The Grant sisters believed their nightmare ended the night Ethan vanished beneath the lake.
But some stories refused to sink. In Willow Creek, the line between love, loyalty, and obsession blurred, and a family's bond became its own undoing.
Whether Ethan Carter died that night or still walks among the fog, one truth remains. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters aren't strangers. They're the ones who call us family.